Black Dot and Professor Griff. Minister of Information, Master Dakota himself. Peace, y'all.
How's everyone doing?
All is well, brother. All is well.
Okay. All right. I haven't seen you brothers in the physical in a minute, man.
I know, right? It's been since the beginning of summer.
Right.
Since we last saw each other out there in the A and whatnot. Yeah, we've been out here in New York holding it down, though, bro. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
Yes, yeah. Indeed. Doing the work out here. And I know you brothers are going to turn it up out there in Baltimore.
Me and Black Dot, we doing the death of the hip-hop Illuminati and the reascension of the ancient art forms.
Yes,
yeah, we just dropped that piece in Brooklyn at Long Island University. And,
I already heard about that one. I already heard about that classic right there. That same day we were up in Harlem doing something with Polite, but everybody that came through let us know that y'all definitely shut it down. Both of you brothers were monumental, you know what I'm saying, in your presentation, and they, because the audience of the information, especially when we're dealing with this hip hop, has gotten younger and younger by the day. You know what I'm saying? So, the babies are really beginning to eat that food that they need. And they taking it to college with them. They taking it back to the hood with them. And it's doing monumental things. It's actually growing legs. So when the information grows legs, the same way when a song grows legs, you just got to sit back and watch it take off because it's going to go places.
5-4, that's myself, Professor Griff from Public Enemy, and Black Dot from Hip Hop Decoded. We're going to be dealing with the death of the Hip Hop Illuminati and the reascension of the ancient art forms. We felt it necessary to basically, just kind of to go back. The word re means to go back, to bind back to that particular body of knowledge so that we can even exist in the present, to lay a platform and the base for the future, generations. So we decided to pull some people together that are on top of their game, on the front lines, whatever particular subject. Because, my thing is, like you just said, we gave birth to another generation. You understand what I'm saying? We have to cover every aspect of this thing in order to survive. We can't leave no stone unturned. So if a brother comes up with an area that you and I didn't cover, that Dot didn't cover, or somebody else didn't cover, then we welcome them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed.
And that's a beautiful thing. And the best thing that I could do is set the pick for them. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Damn sure. Set it up.
Create the platform, set the pick for them, say, here you go, young brother, young sister. Do the damn thing.
I really want to reiterate the importance of this demonstration that's going to take place. You know what I'm saying? It won't be the first time, and it definitely will not be the last. But, I'm speaking, from experience of the traveling that I've done over the years and the impact that I've seen that this information and the brothers and sisters that are bringing the information, because the information is not speaking for itself. It's being transmitted through vehicles. So these vehicles need to be, honored for the monumental work that they are doing. You know what I'm saying? Sarnetta and his brand represents, many, many, many voices and many different energies and many different people from different states and backgrounds and cultures and whatnot. And, he's the best person at this point, in my humble opinion, to present the conglomerate coming together with these different ideals and, brothers and sisters that just come from different walks of life. But the work that has been done individually is revolutionary and Renaissance-like in itself. The work that Griff have been doing, you're everywhere. Every week I go on your Facebook page. There's a flyer up there. You don't stop working. You know what I mean? And then I'll see a clip where you were Public Enemy in front of hundreds of thousands of people somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, the brother is, he ain't relaxing. He ain't just sitting back collecting checks, hiding and whatnot. You're one of the few and I could count them on my hands. You know what I'm saying? Bambaataa, Africa Bambaataa, being the father of hip hop. So once he co-signs the movement, I'm not even looking for these other knuckleheads that won't even pay homage and come through and do what they know what they're supposed to do. Because every Monday and Wednesday in Harlem, one of the co-creators, okay, when he went to Africa, right, and came back and formed the Zulu Nation by putting all of those gangs together in the streets of New York, and those gangs were the ones who spread the 5 pillars of hip-hop. Those gangs were the ones who got the graffiti popping and the breakdancing popping and the parties in the parks and the rapping and all of that. And that came from that man right there.
That's a beautiful thing.
You know what I'm saying? Russell Simmons was trying on stilettos at that time. He wasn't even thought about. You know what I mean? He wasn't even an idea when it came to this hip hop thing. That was that man right there, and the brother from Jamaica, Kool Herc, who came and brought the sound element with those speakers that mimicked the dub sets and whatnot out of Jamaica. You know, so he to this day he still pays. He puts his energy and his light into this conscious movement. You know what I'm saying? But just the individuals alone, just the work that are being done on individual levels is monumental, right? So imagine the power and the prestige that we have as the collective.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Imagine that. So, you know, I really look forward to something happening in Atlanta, maybe early 2013, where we resurrect that meeting of the masters that the brother put together in the early 2000s, because coming out of Atlanta, that's definitely, you know, that grid right there is monumental, and the brothers and sisters that are out there with the energy that they have and the movement that's out there.
We're going to tackle these 2 subject matters, man. The one that Wesley Muhammad is dealing with the Nation of Islam and the Illuminati, dealing with the Scientology stuff. We're going to just put it, you know, take our arguments in a very beautiful, loving kind of way. Take it to the classroom. You understand what I'm saying? And let's talk like gentlemen. You understand what I'm saying? And let's hammer these things out so we can at least in a loving manner, gain some wisdom. You understand what I'm saying? To the point where we understand where everyone's coming from. Simply because I'm not going to like everything in your background. Shit, I don't like everything in my background. You understand what I'm saying? But I wrestle with it every single day because it is who we are. For example, I heard the last poets do a poetry piece, right? Yeah. And he was going through these things. I think the white man has a God complex. And he's going through, niggas are lovers, niggas are lovers, niggas love to shoot the shit, niggas love this, that, and no. He goes through the whole poem, and then he gets to the end, he says, because niggas is me, and I can only love that which is me. And I'm like, niggas is me. I couldn't even understand that until I heard Eugene Adams say the niggas are the Nagas, which are the black gods.
Yes.
And then when I heard Black Dot just dropping the ink on the whole shit, I'm like, with his book, I'm like, damn, okay, that's all I need to hear right now.
Brother
you understand what I'm saying?
Is that niggas are scared of revolution?
Yeah, niggas are scared of revolution. Pardon me.
Hold on, can I bless the family with that? Because we may have some of our youngins that, my juniors out there that never heard of it.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Niggas are scared of revolution, but niggas shouldn't be scared of revolution. All niggas. Because revolution is nothing but change, and all niggas do is change. Niggas come in from work and change into pimping clothes, to hit the streets to make some quick change. Niggas change their hair from black to red to blonde, and hope like hell their lips will change. Niggas kill other niggas just because one didn't receive the correct change. Niggas change from men to women, from women to men. Niggas change. You hear niggas say, things are changing, yeah, things are changing. Nigga things into black nigga things. Black nigga things that go through all kinds of changes. The change in the day that makes them rap and rave. Black power, and the change that comes over them at night as they sigh and moan. Night size. Niggas always going through.
We're going to have to do it. We got to bring those brothers on the show one day. For the family that wants to rest of that poem, as well as the other poems that these brothers have put together, you could go to YouTube or Google and put in the Last Poets.
Right.
No doubt.
Right. That was the precursor to hip hop.
To hip hop. Thank you. Okay.
Right. And
Gil Scott Heron. I'm sorry, brother.
No. Go on. Definitely.
Gil Scott Heron.
Watch Prophets.
The who? The Watch Prophets.
The Watch Prophets had a watch. Yeah.
Yes. The Watch Prophets.
Yeah.
The Last Poets, and for years I thought that Gil Scott Heron was affiliated, that they were actually a group, and the brother from the Last Poets, he helped straighten me up with that one and was like, no, that's separate. This is what we do, and that was the brother right there. We love our brother, but he has his own monumental body of work. Right. So those three elements, you put in some blaxploitation with the films. And some of the issues that they were tackling and the whole blaxploitation thing of social issues and things of that nature, and also of them fighting the man and them being militant and things of that nature outside of the buffoonery that some people may have picked up on in those movies. But that is your foundation to hip-hop, family. I don't know what these books are telling or these little classes they're having in these colleges where they try to,
Remix.
They try to Def Jam and shit, you know what I mean? But that's not where it comes from, you know what I'm saying? Those brothers was rhyming, they was spitting way back in the days.
Now, recently, hip hop had to memorialize the loss of Chris Lighty very recently. I believe it was last week. They put him in the ground. And the brother made transition in the age of 44. The Black Dot. Yes, I do want you to speak briefly on, your relationship with Chris Lighty. What does this mean to hip hop? What does it mean to, you got the hip hop, then you got the Bronx hip hop, which is pretty much the nucleus of it all. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. Well, I was really taken back by the transition of Chris Lighty. I'm gonna say off the back, I really don't know sure if this brother committed suicide. It wasn't in his DNA from what I know of Chris Lighty. We went to high school together. You know what I'm saying? We went to high school together. After high school, we kind of went our own ways. I signed the B-Boy Records. He ran with, krs-one and a few other people. But I will say this. Played his position as a mogul probably the best you could play it, because you could sit next to him in a restaurant. If you didn't know who he was, you wouldn't know who he was. So he never flaunted his power and things of that nature. And, when I had an opportunity to bring music to him, I'll give you one quick story. He was so down to earth, I pulled up on him one day in my hoopty, me and wifey, and he just leaned in the car and was having a long-ass conversation with me. You know what I'm saying? He even offered me a job to write for a female MC. Well, I can tell you, it was Foxy Brown. You know what I'm saying? He offered me a little writing job to rock for Foxy. I politely declined, but, you know what I'm saying, that was my dude like that. And when I brought him a project that he wasn't feeling, he said, yo, D, I'm not feeling that. I never took it personal because at least his doors was always open. Then I did bring a project to him called 11 Heads, rocking these bald heads. And, this was going to be crazy. I handed him the tape. Loved it. He called me back, yo, Doc. Well, I wasn't Doc at the time. Yo, KD, this was popping, D. Yo, we going to get this rocking. The very next day, Jam Master Jay signed Onyx. So ball game was over with that. You know what I mean? So from that point, we kind of drifted our own ways, but I don't think he killed himself. But this industry will devour you. You know what I mean? This industry forces you to do things that you're really not comfortable with. And I'm not insinuating, I'm telling you. You know what I mean? So, you see what happened to Shakur Stewart, the executive of Def Jam just 3 or 4 years earlier.
It's the same story, though, because they claim suicide, and every single person, Shakur Stewart was responsible for signing Jeezy. He was responsible for Ross. he was responsible for some other things. He had some BMF affiliations and whatnot.
Yeah.
So when they claimed suicide, it was the same thing with the Lighty situation. Same scenario. Nobody was in the room. Nobody was there. They blamed it on spousal situations and financial, but everyone in his circle, even everybody at the label was like, he wouldn't off himself. It's not in his DNA. You feel what I'm saying? Just like you said, like suicidal people who commit suicide tend to have telltale signs that they're suicidal.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is a decision that you have to make. Shit, like I'm gonna leave my legacy as putting a bullet in my head and just killing myself. Like, you know, these brothers did not show signs of being suicidal. They did not have even issues or situations that would even push them to that level. But because we live in a society that is, you know, socially engineered, this is what you see on TV and things like that. When they tell you it, it is what it is. But I watch Michael Clayton and other movies, and I see how they put these hits out. You know?
For sure.
I see how these things happen, and I know that industry is nefarious. And I said it before, when you have hardened criminals and mafiosa and other people who are like underworld figures crawling out of the industry with their tail between their legs, running from that shit, like, I can't penetrate. I'm out of here. You know what I mean? I'm going back to like doing hits and whatnot. I'm going back to like tying people up. I can't do this industry. Like, there has to be something inside of there that's showing you that it's more than meets the eye.
Yes. And that's deep because, like I said, this industry will devour you quickly, spit you out, because there's realms and layers to this industry that we've been talking about over the last 10 years that people think we're talking out of our ass. These men were afraid.
You getting feedback from your phone, Doc? Does anybody else hear that?
Yeah, you got a little slight echo.
Oh, okay. I'm not around. I don't have no other devices.
But that's those people hard at work. Don't worry about that.
You know what I'm saying? So,
no doubt.
You know, the Court Stewart situation, we know that there was a blackmailing situation going on, an extortion situation to the highest level. We know, saying through our research, that the brother was forced to do things that he was uncomfortable with. We know they recorded this brother in uncompromising situations because that's what they do. We know the brother could not face his wife and his children because that wasn't the true nature of who he was. We know they put things in your drink, and you know what I'm saying, when you wake up, you don't know what's going on. We know they do sacrificial rituals. We know this. It's important that we bring this information full-fledged to people in this day and time. This is what we mean by death to the hip-hop Illuminati. We're going to remove as much of this chaos as we can and bring these dudes down off this pedestal, because it's a deadly game they're playing. And once you win, ain't no coming out except in a body bag. You know what I mean? So, Chris Lighty situation, the minute I heard that, I already, you know what I'm saying, put some pieces together just off my, speculation of the information we deal with, and it's really not hard to figure out what happened to this brother. You know what I mean? And it's sad, but everything you do along that path, he had to keep compounding situation after situation. He probably been wanting to get out of that. You know what I mean?
How do you think it would affect the generation coming up now to find out and to realize what this brother contributed? How do you think it'll affect that next generation coming up as far as hip hop is concerned?
Well, I guess that's all based on what you feel his contributions was. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily feel 50 Cent is a contribution to the world of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? That's just my personal opinion. You know what I mean? And everybody he signed, for the most part, this, to me, he contributed, and this is not on the personal level. I thought he was cool, but he contributed to the madness that we have to undo now. You know what I mean? For the sake of a few pieces of silver. Now, whether he realized that or not, because a lot of these guys are in it, and in their minds, they truly do think they're elevating the culture of hip-hop. And they're killing the spiritual essence of hip-hop, and all they're doing is elevating the financial aspects. They can live a little easier, and a few people can exploit the mental, physical, and spiritual essence of our people. And he contributed to that. Fuck that. And I know the nigga personally, and whoever don't like it, just deal with it. You know what I mean? So let's not put the brother up on a pedestal like, you know, he made some great contributions to our struggle. He put a few dollars in a few people's pockets, and when he started needing money, where was all of these people who he helped? He should never be in a situation. But this also lends to the fact that I don't think this was about money, because how can you be around that many multimillionaires and you need money?
And be strapped for cash.
Right. How's that possible? How could I be around a bunch of drug dealers and I just came home and I can't get on my feet? It don't work like that. You know what I'm saying?
You could have did a benefit concert. Yeah, you could put your roster together and say, look, man, pull this, you know, do this for me. This for the team. We're gonna do a concert, and the proceeds will give me 50%, and everything else gets divvied up.
Boom. You know what I mean? I can get a brick anywhere if that's what I do. So money aspect. He had 6 kids, about 3 or 4 different women. I'm pretty sure he wasn't best over no one particular chick. So all that stuff is the fluff story. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff is the fluff story. So we know, you know, there was some other issues going on, backdoor issues, you know, some sacrificing things going on that even his closest probably don't even. You know what I mean? Because you're not allowed to put them on to what's really going on. So all they doing is coming to your aid like, yo, that's my man. And he is your man. But what was your man into? What was your man into that you had no knowledge of?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So these are the things, and that's not to piss on his grave, because like I said, whenever I saw him, he treated me like a gentleman, and I appreciate that. I'm looking beyond that. I'm looking at consequences of these deals with these devils for the sake of money and nothing else. I'm looking at those aspects of it. And I can't see nobody on them rosters that made a change that put a dent in this particular realm that we dealing with. It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse.
Yes, it has.
You know what I'm saying? And so forth and so on. So, from a personal standpoint, may he rest in peace. But your body of work is all you have in this particular realm. Your work, you know what I'm saying? Your body of work should tell your story. Bottom line, when I die, I just want to die an honorable death. I don't want nobody to say I did nothing backdoor, that I shitted on anybody for nothing, that I made any oaths or any deals with any devil. And I know Griff feel the same way. And I know Red and Blue Pill feel the same way. So judge me on my body of work. That's it.
My legacy.
My legacy. He's more to me than $30 million or $50 million, and you better believe it. And that's not to say, not for me to understand how these Jews can get caught in when you're making $30, $40, $50 million. Yeah, you know, your consciousness can be straight. I get that. I get all of that. But let's not paint pictures of people that ain't true. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it 100. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we can talk about the good and the bad, just like when we speak about Dr. King, we know that he did some things that were great. He also did some things that we wasn't in agreement with. Doesn't mean we don't respect his body of work, because it's for itself. But I'm not into sainthood and people on pedestals. And, you know, I'm looking at your body of work and what contributions were made here that elevated our people, the ones I fight for every single day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I don't see them. And then when it's all said and done, when they done with your ass, put you in a box.
They get rid of you.
They get rid of you. No longer needed. The services are no longer needed, and they put you in a box.
Indeed.
And a lot of these dudes, not to harp on it, a lot of these dudes got a lot of answers. A lot of questions need to be answered. You know what I mean? Including Diddy, he's at the top of that list. So watch that boy. And the laundry list of dirt is still into the floor. He is not to be played with. Do not sleep on this dude. This dude is well connected. And he washes his hands every day. The motherfuckers he don't want to be around. Or people who he has done dirt with that he could close the door on with no consciousness involved whatsoever. He just keeps it moving. That's a dangerous dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a dangerous dude. He ain't the only one.
Yeah, he's a master scorpion.
Yes.
Right. You mess with him, you become one of the disposable people. People that they can use like vampires and take your energy and then dispose of you. And then twist and spin the lie about your life, right? That you was probably never even part of the madness. But because you brought your energy to it, and they extracted your energy and took it from you, and then they dispose of you. However they feel like they want to dispose of you. There's a long, like you said, there's a long list of dead bodies. And if you look close enough, the blood of those people are dripping from the mouths of these vampires, as Delbert Blair calls them, psychic vampires, dripping with the blood of our people.
So this is what we're facing with this death of this hip-hop Illuminati.
Can you hear me better now?
All over. Yes, I can.
Okay. I want to dispel, before we even, because we utilize a tag word in that title called Illuminati. You know what I'm saying? And it's a word that causes it's, you know, the youth love it. Like, you know, saying Illuminati these days is like saying, you know, like saying Nintendo back in the days. Like, they jump for that, you know what I'm saying? But as a result of misinformation, and I believe, I would say propaganda campaigns that have come from different angles, because I only say that because when we were of a younger age, we were bombarded with Illuminati propaganda campaigns as well. And then when I do my research into the beginning of the Illuminati, this is something that also was taking place. So it's always been, it's a recurring theme in terms of the information of the Illuminati, where they don't want to get they're not giving you the straight story. They're not giving you they're not giving you names. They won't give you the history the way that it's supposed to be given. So when people hear hip hop Illuminati, they're like, "Oh, okay, that's Jay-Z and Kanye. We're gonna go there and hear about them because, you know, they're wearing because Kanye has the Yeezy 2s with their Heru on it, or he has that chain with that bird on it that's paganistic and stuff like that." So, you know, because of that, a lot of people are confused. So could we take a small segment and clear up what exactly hip-hop Illuminati is and what it isn't?
All right. I'm going to jump in this first because when me and Griff did the lecture in Brooklyn, spoke clearly about the internet being a gift and a curse. And what I mean by that, I spoke about when we were just going to lectures amongst ourselves and we were mentioning the word Illuminati, we had a different meaning for the word. We knew it just meant illuminated ones, those who in the dark, those who, you know what I'm saying, and so forth and so on. Then the internet came about and we flooded people with information that were not ready for this type of information, along with the propagandists, and they turned it into something that was so negative that whenever you mention it, people's mind just shut down and they automatically say, it's that Jay-Z, it's that this, that, as you said. I also made mention that in 86, 87, when all of them books came out, Ralph Epperson and all of them, and we started reading that information, I mentioned that who knows if Adam Weishaupt's story is even true. You know what I'm saying? And we take Illuminati far beyond that. But a lot of people, that's the starting point. He's running through the jungle and he drops the damn manifesto and it gets into the hands of the people, and here we are. A lot of times that's also propaganda because they're able to see into the future by manipulating the past. I'm going to say that again. Seeing into the future or controlling the future by manipulating the past. Place some books here, tell you they came from 100 years ago, and now they're affecting this day and time. So when I'm talking about hip-hop Illuminati and killing it, I'm trying to literally kill the nonsense that we helped create. And when I say we helped create, when we were talking amongst ourselves, it was fine because we knew how to keep that in its proper perspective. Once the YouTube clips going up and people got an 8-minute YouTube of a 5-hour lecture I did and ran with that or this and that, and then you had these old DVDs, all they was cutting and slicing, it created a windfall of information that wasn't true. We understand who Hey-Woo is and Baphomet and all of that. That's all who we are collectively. So they're using that against us by running people away from the information they should be embracing. And they're using the trigger words Illuminati, Baphomet, Satanic, and so forth and so on. So we got to clean this up, bringing these dudes off this pedestal that was created by these propagandists, that this is something negative. We want to kill that and get back to what is positive, what is the truest essence of who we are. We are the Illuminati.
Now, you see, when people hear that, based on what they think they know, they may take that and run with that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we are the illuminated ones, and we can prove it any day of the week by using the simplest forms of mathematics, that's nothing to us. We are the illuminated ones, and we've been here. And matter of fact, red and blue pill, you'll know that we've left monuments still standing on the planet to attest to the fact that we the gods. Elijah Muhammad said, when we seen the devil coming on the planet, we hid certain cities from them. We hid certain things from them, like the knowledge of God. You understand what I'm saying? So we're the illuminated ones all day long. But for these people to come and steal our frequency and our vibration, put their face and their name on it, and their demonic energy and satanic agenda to it, to feed it back to us, to keep us dumbed down in this hell of a poor state, that poses a serious problem to the culture called hip-hop. Because now they're handpicking people to carry out the agenda, i.e. hip-hop, Illuminati. They're not the end-all to be-all, but I think the brother said, if you're wearing the whole clothes, you might as well be the whole. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So these brothers are taking on this, carrying out the agenda, not knowing that at the end of the day, when they finish carrying out these particular plans and this agenda, they're going to murk them too, like they did with Michael Jackson and other people. Like God said, when they have no more use for you, okay, yeah, they got a place for you too. That's my take on it.
What is your take on the symbols, the symbology that, because, it's almost, the shit is so funny to me. Like, every time I step out now, it's just like, I wish I had one of those cameras in my hats so I could just show everybody how they look at me on the train. And how you know what I'm saying? Like they're moving over. Like, oh shit, this nigga got skulls on his bracelet. He's wearing an arm. Right. And I go extra hard now because I know that it bothers them, and it's a good feeling that I'm bothering. At least I could bother you niggas. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing something right. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are programmed now. Like, it's so crazy because, they got their Dre B headphones on, so they listening to, like, Waka, or they listening to, like, Chief Keef and shit, and it's like, I shoot you niggas, kill you niggas, bust your head open, and then I come on the train and I got a skull on, and they're looking at me all spooked out, like, oh my goodness, Illuminati. They pulling emergency brakes and shit. You know what I'm saying? I might have a King Tut on, and they're like, oh Lord, the devil is on the train. And I'm like, you Negroes is fucking, like, you're retarded. You know how retarded y'all are right now? Like, it's crazy.
And it's getting worse, God. God, it's getting worse. You know what I mean? We had a small window, I feel, and like I said, before that internet came through, it's been a blessing as well. But when that internet came through, you got these propagandists who can remain anonymous that are creating all of this confusion and conversations with these symbols. And you got these Christians who their take on the Illuminati is, this ain't Jesus, this is evil. You know what I mean? So they may even drop. Listen, some of them may even have a very good expose going, and then they'll hit you with Jesus at the end of it as if this is the answer. So it has created so much confusion that we got to start cleaning this up. And we got to clean it up because if we don't, nobody will. And then when you see Kanye with an ill horror on, I'm like, ooh, that shit is ill. Ill in a great way. The dudes is like, yo, that's sexy. This nigga, you know what I mean? So it's crazy. I think Rihanna just got ISIS tattoos on her chest, didn't she?
She got all set going across her
got
chest.
All set going across her chest.
And this is my thing. And I said it in the post, and I'm going to say it again. Because we are getting alley-oop passes being sent from these artists. I'm not privy to the studio sessions. I'm not privy. I heard about it. I heard they sitting around watching YouTube clips of different lecturers. I heard that some of the engineers is like breaking out their House of Consciousness collection and giving it to the artists. You know what I mean? Like, I'm hearing a lot of things. And at this point, at this point, I don't put it beyond them because, like I said, the father of hip-hop, irregardless if they honor him and recognize him or not, the Dada, the Don Dada of hip hop, the one who may be responsible for its inception, for turning it into what it is as a culture, is Africa Bambaataa. And he is sitting in lectures, he is sitting in classes. I've seen this man come every week for like 7 years straight. Mm-hmm. So that has to reverberate in some way amongst these people who are his children in this divination system that we call hip-hop, right? So when Kanye wears a Heru piece, when Kanye puts Heru on the Yeezy 2s with hieroglyphics on it, when Rihanna puts a it's like a Thug Life tattoo. The big, you know how Pac had the shit across his belly? Yeah. She got ISIS with her wings across her breast. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's a win-win for me, B. I could dribble that ball. Like, I know how to score on that one.
Indeed.
That's a no-look, a Stockton pass. Like, I could dunk that because I'll go among.
But the average person can't.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the chief.
No, I know.
They can't.
I understand.
That's what we're battling. You know what I mean?
I understand. Yep. And sometimes I have to find myself going back into the memory, going back into the, like, you know, just time traveling and saying, how the hell did I get up out of that? Like, because I was there too. You know what I mean? Like, the early Illuminati days, selling blue, we'd be in the airport, and if we see, like, a Caucasian with all black on, we'd be like, shit, they not going to let us leave, B. Illuminati's coming to get us. Like, we might have a book in our bag or some shit, or like 3 DVDs that we checked our bags in, and we'll see like a white dude pop up with some in his ear. We like, shit, the Illuminati, son. They're not going to let us transport this DVD to New York. You know what I mean? Like, it was really bad, son. You know what I mean? So I almost sympathize with the beginners at the level of paranoia and at the level of misinformation that they could be dealing with, because I went through that. I know what it is.
But you know what?
But I went through that pre-internet age. So they're getting bombarded right now. This shit is turned up on them.
We had situations where if you came to the lecture, even if you bought a tape, you went home and you was amongst fellow people who were studying or like minds, so y'all can at least walk through it together. You know what I mean? Y'all can watch the DVD, pause it, go up, play it again. The internet has flooded this where dudes ain't even studying, dudes is getting this information and running. So we did all of that post or pre-internet age. Right now, they're up against everything. You know what I mean? This internet, these videos are dropping a little this and that. And so that's what we're up against now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's like 3 artists in the whole industry that might even be saying something worthwhile, and you got to, like, you know, so the scales are not even balanced in that way. But one thing that I will say, and before the show is over, I'll show and prove, and I saw it with my own two eyes, that there's a movement amongst the youth that is not to be reckoned with. You understand? There's a movement amongst these young gods who obviously have been drinking from a well of information from somewhere, and they got it right. You know what I mean? And they're teenagers, so they're going to mix the information with that testosterone and that anti-establishment vigor that a teenager would exhibit. We were all teenagers once, so we know what it was about. What do we want? Women. What were we into? Smoking. You know what I mean? What were we into? Parties. We were into having fun in life and experiencing what life had to offer, but we were dropping knowledge at the same time. And it takes me back into the hip-hop golden era of the mid-'80s, you know what I'm saying, going into the early 90s, when you had Eric B. and Rakim. Eric B. was a fucking gangster, B.
Real talk.
And he was affiliated with real gangsters. Like, not dudes that got gangster names, like real gangsters, like, you know, urban legends and whatnot.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You had Big Daddy Kane, who was dropping Young, Black, and Gifted. Assalamu alaikum, you know what I mean? Giving you the knowledge and the bars and everything, but he was street. He talking about the women, but in a respectful manner. He wasn't no punk. He would throw down. He had the goons with him and everything. And the appeal of that was monumental globally. Like, people was like, yo, that's it right there. That's the balance. KRS-One.
Oh, for sure.
First time I heard the word 9mm. You know what I'm saying? So these younger groups, some of them, like some of the names of the groups that come across my radar, the Underachievers, young guys from out of Flatbush, bodying them right now. ASAP Rocky and them, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Even though they don't drop too much knowledge, they trying to do a little something, and they got a brother Chase Infinite behind them who got knowledge, so I know he's feeding them something. You got the Joey Badass, and he has a whole crew called Error going in. You know what I'm saying? You have Kendrick Lamar and Ab Soul and J Rock and Schoolboy Q, Black Hippie out of LA, bodying them with the information. You know what I'm saying? Like, a Puritan would be offended if they heard it. They'd be like, "Oh, did he just say fuck?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, they have to appeal. Like, they're spitting to college students. You know what I mean? Like, they're spitting to with a joint. Like, take your panties out of here. You know what I mean? Like, don't get your panties in a bunch, dude. You know what I mean? Like, they're not telling you, though, to do it, or they're not telling you to go kill somebody, or they're not telling you to sell your body for a fucking car. You know what I mean? They're unraveling certain things. So, sprinkles of it. J. Cole, he's mainstream, and he's dropping knowledge as well. J. Electronica, being the pinnacle, I would say, in terms of, you know, the setup. You know what I'm saying? In terms of an artist that could be set up to really make an impact. He's taking a long time to drop his heat. But what I'm saying is there's a slight renaissance. You have Mos Def getting a Moorish name, you know what I mean? Saying, don't call me Mos Def no more. I'm Yasin Bey. You know what I mean? So there's a slight resurgence that's taking place. You know what I mean? And slowly but surely, people are saying, well, how many times is Rick Ross going to tell me he sells dope? Or how many times is this nigga Lil Wayne going to tell me a metaphor on how to eat box? Or you know, that he's popping a pill and you know, and getting head or something. Like, that shit is redundant, and it becomes boring. Like, they slammed his last mixtape because his shit was trash.
Indeed.
You know,
so you can't keep talking about that same nonsense, because the word itself is losing value every time you do that. So the word has to constantly reinvent itself, you know what I mean, by going back you know, to that truest essence. So when you speak a word, that shit carry weight. But if every time I put in your mixtape, you're saying the same shit, even Jay-Z, I'm tired of hearing how rich you are. I get it.
Yeah.
I do. I get it. But so them words is losing value. So when you have a young brother come up, and it's so bad, and this is no knock on Kendrick Lamar and them, it's so bad to the left that all he got to do is say something half-ass conscious, and the shit is seeming extreme.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
about
It's
shit
like,
that we heard years ago.
Yeah, he's the second coming.
Right. I'm like, really? Really? We have these conversations every day. But because it's so extreme to the left with Keith and 2 Chainz and all this old craziness, that when a brother comes out and speaks common sense, you like a motherfucking genius now. So this is where we at. So I
can't forget Nas too. I forgot.
Oh, don't forget Nas, of course. You know what I mean? And even Nas, I have a lot of respect for Nas, but I knew Nas is so nice that he has to battle against himself, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? So I heard the new album, and I wasn't impressed. It was good, but it wasn't nothing Nas doesn't already do. This is too easy for Nas. Nas has to challenge himself now. Nas has to come out of his own comfort zone that he has created. We know your lyrics is crazy. We know your metaphors is crazy.
Yeah. He clearly said this one is for the money. You know what I'm saying? So
okay, all right.
He already made mention that, you know, he was using this commercial vehicle to offset, you know what I'm saying, whatever cost he owes to the IRS, and the fact that he wanted to make a move and tour to a larger audience. So him challenging himself would be distant relatives. You know what I'm saying? What he did with Damian Marley, you know. I think that, you know, that represents some level of balance. And Nas got a lot of different people inside of him. You know, and I made mention of it as well, you know, for anybody that's grown. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you listen to the album and you listen to his sentiments about his relationship with his daughter, it's a contradiction in terms. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because your daughter's the way she is because of what you're saying on your, you know what I'm saying? Like,
what you're saying on your albums.
What you're saying on your, you know, like, one goes hand in hand with the other.
Indeed.
So, I'm positioning myself so we could do that part 2 interview with the brother. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems that when we sat down and spoke to him, you know, he understood. But you got to be able to actually speak to these people. And none of these media outlets have greenlit any of their journalists to have real conversations. All that shit is styrofoam.
Right,
so,
right.
And nobody else knows.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We ask you a couple of styrofoam questions to get the shit popping. Now, let's get down. You know what I mean? Let's see where it's at. This is what we're going through. And, you know, back to the new generation of MCs coming through. I smile. I know Griff smiles. You know what I mean? Because it lets us know that the work is being done. You know what I mean? So that's what it's about.
We got to set this thing straight, like you said, man. Seriously, man, because it's really, truly bothering me that these 13-year-olds are coming up to me, pointing at a picture of some rapper or something, telling me that's Illuminati, and it's killing me, man. They're pointing at a picture of some ancient Kemetic god. It's like, yo, that's evil and wicked. I'm like, we definitely got to set this straight, all right? I got to get up the vibe line. Peace to y'all, brothers.
Hey.
All right.
All right,
peace to the God. I see you on Sunday.
Listen, please look out for that acapella revolution, man. I'm calling all these cats to task. Not that I'm challenging them, but I'm challenging them to challenge themselves, like Black Dot said. If you're spitting lyrics that no one else knows what they mean but you, all right, you will be silenced. We're going to call you to the front of the room. We like what you did, bro. That's a dope beat, ill beat, cool. But listen, we're going to turn the music off. Now let me hear what you're saying.
Exactly. Acapella revolution, baby.
Acapella revolution. All right, bro, I got to go.
Peace.
Okay. I was saying that a few weeks ago, last week and the week before that, there were news articles dominating the news cycle in hip-hop.
We got that.
Dealing with the rise and violence amongst the youth. Now they spotlighted an artist by the name of Chief Keef.
Yeah.
Because one of his rivals, one of his quote unquote hip hop rivals, who put out a diss song against him in Chicago, was gunned down. Right. This young man,
right?
Lil JoJo was 16. Lil JoJo had clips, you know what I mean, on YouTube, you know, brandishing weapons and whatnot. He had some pictures that he tweeted holding up like 40 cows and everything. You know, the boy didn't look like he was no older than 12, like a little, you know.
Definitely did.
You know, definitely a young, you know, he didn't look like, the face and the spirit didn't represent the message and the story, so to say. Now, back to what I was saying about the fact that the music industry is suffering, and certain acts such as Rick Ross, due to the fact of the you know, his mythology, and you know, the fact that he's not even wearing his real name, the whole CO thing, you know, things like that is damaging to his credibility, although he still has managed to be on the top. But from an industry perspective, they need more authentic representatives to really fuel what I've termed the death culture. Now, I call it the death culture because when you look at it, when you sit down and take an honest look at what the culture is representing in its inception now, it represents all things death, from relationships, the way of life that they're promoting through relationships, where they're trying to tell you that 2 women is the way to go, or 2 men is acceptable, on some Frank Ocean, like this is what life is about, this is the new thing, this is the wave. And, you know, the fact that many of us were raised in the 90s through the crack era and the wars that took place, right? They claimed a lot of lives. They claimed a lot of innocent lives. It destroyed a lot of lives via the weapons, via the violence, or just the drug usage and the offspring. And the many implications that just came from crack abuse. Okay? Now, fast forward, we have pills on the scene, over the counter and under the counter. You know what I'm saying? They popping the mollies like they're Tic Tacs.
Yeah, they popping the mollies.
They are, yeah. When I was in Atlanta, you know, and I'm not just speaking this because this is what I heard. Like, I was right there. You know what I mean? The youth, the dudes, you know, 18, 19, 20, on the colleges, in the strip clubs, in the mall, like everywhere they on them beans. They beamed out. Now, what those beans do, what those pills are doing to them, because different pills have different effects, but some of the pills are, you know, and then they on the lean as well. So they on the bean, they on some lean, and they on some green.
Yes.
Promethazine. You know what I mean? So these kids are actually walking around in a zombified state of mind. So they chop and screw. The music is chopped and screwed. The messages are, you know, basically bass-like messages that's dealing with the lower chakra. I'm not gonna lie to you. Me and one of the brothers was talking about this the other day, fellas and sisters. If you go to one of those clubs, you understand, you might find yourself doing the stanky leg, okay?
Yes.
The shit will grab you, okay? I'm speaking from I wasn't doing the stanky leg, but I got invited to a party called Bear and Tacos sometime last year. It was me and the brother Cleet. And Bear and Tacos was an 18-year-old and up party, a little 5 Points and whatnot. And one of the brothers we was doing business with, and Vinny's it's a clothing store. They were the promoters and whatnot. So we met some sisters and we was like, let's go to Bear Tacos and chill out. Drinks were like $3, so everybody was twisted. But when that Gucci man came on, when that Walker shit came on, like at first I was in the corner just watching, like observing to see, I want to see the appeal of this shit. Like I want to see what's the driving force. By the fourth song, I was doing the bankhead bounce, babe. Like I was all the way in. I'm not gonna even front for you. Like I was going all the way in, and I picked up. I saw the power of it, and I was like, whoa, this shit is kind of, because those sinister dark beats, that drum roll, you know what I mean? Like it's infectious. You know what I mean?
And when you couple that with the zombie mode that most of them are in already, they're going somewhere else.
When you put that in that zombie. But that shit is like Vincent Price to them, like you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like they're really in the zone with that, and it conjures up a spirit. It'll conjure up, you could really put it like this for all my dark niggas out there, all my panic pack takers and all of that, my demons and everything. Like go to those parties and tap in if you must. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got to do your rituals and whatnot, go in the corner and set it off because the energy in that mall right there, that's Baron Samdi's playground. Like, Bobby would be proud of them niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would be proud, and that music, but for some reason, in my eye, and the way that I see it, they're creating this character, Chief Keef character, and the movement that he represents, because remember, it's not about the music. What it is about is you have a 16-year-old artist, and if I can use that word in so many ways, but you have a 16-year-old in Chicago, the land of gangs. Yes. You understand? One of the realest states in the America. They call it Chirac. Mm-hmm. Right? And you got a 16-year-old running it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Hold on. You ready? So you have a 16-year-old running it, and what he represents is a youth culture who has they have grown up in the deaf culture. Some of us that are older saw the transition. Some of them grew up in a culture where all things deaf is accepted. Okay? The guns are on deck. They're playing video games at 2- and 3-year-old, Call of Duty, War, all of these warlike games, murdering everything. They're online around the world just murking off everybody. Like, I sat down to watch my godson and his crew, like, plot on killing a whole village, B. And they did that shit in perfect timing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Playing one of those, I think it was Call of Duty. The shit, it was crazy. These were like 10-year-olds. So they're coming up, all of the movie posters, everything advertising that the bus is going, the buses, everybody has a gun. Every movie poster that you see got a gun. If they don't have a gun, it's a nigga with a dress on or something like that. So the deaf culture, it's almost as if they don't even see that there's anything wrong with it.
Well,
they're being programmed to accept the culture. Exactly. They're being programmed to accept the energy and the culture that does not promote life.
And so when
your top, all of those songs, your top 20 songs on the radio, the way that you gauge influence and what it's doing to our people is you say, well, shit, let's list the top 10 songs on the radio and let's play Peter Piper or Pop Piper. Follow every word that each one of those songs say to the T, and let's see where they'll take you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And then you'll know what it's doing to the children and whatnot. So this brother represents a culture of youth who are really on some, they on the killer shit, hard body. Because the majority of those murders that are taking place in Chicago right now are involving teenagers. The majority of killings that are taking place in Harlem is involving teenagers. The majority of killings that are taking place all over is involving this lost generation that people are not paying attention to. They're treating them like pit bulls going mad. But pit bulls that they've cut their ears off and tails, beat them up on some Mike Vick shit, fought them against each other, trained them to be killers, watch them turn into mad dogs, and then they want to put bullets in them like Old Yeller or hide them somewhere.
Exactly.
Like, we're not responsible for this shit. You know what I'm saying? And you got the elders who are responsible for selling the crack and other things that destroyed their families or put them into some of these crack babies. But the niggas who sold crack is not even doing nothing to change it.
Indeed.
So
then you
when
get a
I
young
see
brother
the
like
Chief thing, yeah, I almost sympathize with this brother. I almost sympathize with his generation. I almost sympathize with his movement because, one, I see a reflection of a movement that when I was a teenager, they was wilding in my days and times. In the mid-'90s and whatnot, the body count was 10 times higher than what it is now. Because remember, they're going crazy over the numbers in Chicago. They said it's 400 or something, but in the 90s it was a 900 a year body count out there.
Oh, right.
So they've been turned up. Yeah, they've been turned up out there. Detroit been turned up. In all of these places, they've been doing what they do. But the music industry, which is connected to the prison complex industry and also the entertainment industry, they have to promote now and put millions upon millions of dollars behind a lifestyle. They promote lifestyle. They don't promote artists. They promote lifestyles and ways of life. And they are into the game of death. They know that death sells. Forget about, sex sells, but death sells in this culture.
Yes. And when I did the lecture in Brooklyn with Griff, we covered the prison industrial industry in relation to exactly what you're talking about. So, yeah, you're right on it. You're right on it. And when an elder like Lupe Fiasco try to pull a young guard's coat, you know what I mean? These young kids act like they don't even want to hear that. So Lupe got to back up. You know what I mean?
Well,
back up off them. You know what I mean?
And it's my thing for the Lupes of the world and all of the other brothers and sisters who have been successful in their endeavors. And hence the word successful. You're talking to a contingency of teenagers who are definitely in their material realm. They're damn sure in their lower self. They're all in their lower chakra. Brother man, you have to you have to approach this thing with a different kind of tactic.
Yes, yes.
Money talks, homeboy. You're super successful. You need to get out there with some cameras or something. You need to get these. You have a large fan base. Many of these brothers have large fan base. They have Caucasians that love them. You got to put your money up. You have to start doing things. You have to develop. You have to come into the conscious community and stop acting like you don't know that it exists. You have to pull the new leaders up. You have to break bread and make it happen, because these young gods that are out here, these young warriors, they have warrior spirits, and they are destroying each other because they don't have anywhere. They're just eating upon each other. But you cannot condemn them, because when you look into the conscious community, 60% of the conscious community was Chief Keef when they were 16. I don't want to hear that.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
These damn Puritans be forgetting their DNA. They forget their DNA, where it traces back from. So if people could do 10 years and turn around, people could beat bodies and all of that stuff and write all of the, and become monumental, phenomenal teachers, then it's showing you that there's a gene within all of us to change. We all have the ability to go from caterpillars to butterflies. But some of these youth are lost and they need nurturing. That freestyle battle that Loaded Lux did, is a catalyst. That is a catalyst, in my opinion, as to the solution to the problem. Like, Chief Keef is not a problem to me. I listen to his music and I watch the videos. He's not a problem. What the problem is that they glamorize who he is and what he did, and he's going to become a legend as a result of that, and he's going to create 1,000 copycats. Right. You understand?
Right.
That's the problem.
Right.
It's not really, you know what I'm saying? It's not really what he did, because he's just spitting the shit that he knows. He's in the gang. He's Gangsta Disciples. But Gangsta Disciples goes back into, if I'm correct, and I don't want to be incorrect with the statement, if anybody is from the Shah, clear it up for me, but that's El Rukin in them. You got Chief Malik, and then you got Chief Keef. So obviously there's been a devolution that took place. But as with everything, all you have to do is go back to these brothers. Do not be scared. You have to be able to walk amongst them. You have to be able to speak their language, and you got to make sense. That's why.
Right. Yeah. On that note, I want to press the pause button because we missed 11/11 on 9/11. You know.
All right.
I want to definitely make sure that get this meditation in for tonight, so the family can start programming, for next week, which will be when we set sail with those high seas. So, family, please do take time to find yourself in a dark place. Turn the lights out. You can turn the monitor on your computers off without cutting your computer off. Find yourself seated in a chair, feet flat to the floor, back straight, palms of your hands on the edge of your knees, facing upwards to the ceiling, touching your two index fingers together, touching your thumbs together to form a pyramid, locking the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth, pulling in your air from your abdominals through your nose, exhaling out of your mouth. You're going to be meditating to the sounds of Om Mani Padme Hum, which stands for Jewel in the Lotus, perfect unification of the feminine and masculine balance. And so, zone out, right? Those that want to pretty much lace their meditations with their intentions, or those who want to find their still point, that blacked out point, it's all good. I'm saying for those who just want to let the meditation take them on a drift, or for those that don't need a bathroom break, still all good. All right, so we'll be back. See you on the other side. I was just about to speak about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know, for those of y'all that's too cool to meditate, man, you really don't know what you're missing out on. You know, for those of us that on that constant grind and we moving, it's vital that you take a moment, man. You got to find that stillness because that's when the information really comes and the perspective is so clean and so clear. You can really, really utilize, you know, this junction point. You know, portal has been created. You know, if there wasn't already portal created for 11/11, just on the strength of this show alone, you know, I ain't afraid to say it. You know, just on the strength of this show alone, that portal is open. So do yourself a favor and tap in. And you ain't taking nothing from us when you don't. I mean, you're only cheating yourself. Y'all ready to kick it? I want you to finish your point first, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to cut you because you had some momentum, and I feel like you was pretty much, you know, on your way to reach where you was going, Red. So please do finish that.
So, yeah, I was just going back to what I was saying, that, you know, some of our younger lecturers are more important now than they have ever been. You know, I had a long talk with the brother Sarah Suit and Seti. You know, I want to commend the brother for his evolution. You know what I'm saying? You know, the brother understands the importance of camaraderie, and, you know, he said it out of his mouth. He doesn't have time to deal with the friendly fire inside of the community. You know what I mean? He got bigger fish to fry. You know what I'm saying? He has his sights on something, you know, on taking down the natural, you know, the true enemy of our people. So brothers like that, brothers such as yourself, Umar, you know, all of the brothers that are out there speaking to the youth, like, they need to be appreciated, and in my opinion, they need to be, you know, working more. You know what I'm saying? Like, every week they should be in these, every week they should be in these different cities that are going through these issues with this information, you know, reaching out to the youth, college campuses and things of that nature, all of these quote-unquote African study groups. You know, whatever happened to those people? Remember them?
Yeah,
like
sure.
Those black study groups that existed in colleges with budgets and stuff, and they used to do lectures.
They had to spend that money.
It is like a myth. Yeah, like whatever happened to that? You know? So shout out to my brother Jermaine, though, from PG Community County. You know what I mean? The brother definitely utilizes the position that he has in a monumental way. You know what I'm saying? He keeps us in front of that student body with the information out there. You know what I mean? And if there were 100 more people like the brother, we would be making monumental strides, more than what's being done at this point right now. You know what I'm saying? But let's go to the lines, though. I want to hear from the people. You know what I mean? I definitely want to hear from the people in terms of their interpretation of some of the solutions and, you know, just what they see going on in the music industry at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. You know
but I mean, before we even do that, no, I'm sorry, because I'm jumping ahead of myself. I did want to, because I went on my Chief Keef rant and whatnot, and I didn't allow you, Dot, to add on to that situation that we were talking about. Do you have anything that you wanted to add on?
Nah, you pretty much painted the picture perfectly in terms of this particular generation and how their perception of death is not what our perception of death is, and the fact that Keith, like I said, Lupe, trying to be the eldest. Say it again.
Could it represent something more spiritual that we may not have? That we may be overlooking because of the age that it's been said that we are in, and them just manifesting, you know, it's being manifested in the mundane, you know what I mean? It's being manifested in Malkuth. So it still looks savage and whatnot. But when you do your study and your research about the age that we are living in, the Kali Yuga, the Ninth Gate, things like that, it embraces that whole Mayan culture, the death culture. You know, it somehow embraces it.
No, they're right in tune.
They're tapping into something that's a little more in line than So the question would beg to see, are they in the illusion? Or the people running around saying, these teenagers should be planting like watermelons and, they should be like, reading passages and verses from Aesop.
No, what they need...
Who's in line?
Listen, they're in line, but they're offline slightly, meaning, imagine that killer mentality with the knowledge of self. You follow? Now you're talking revolutionary. Now you're talking revolution. But without the knowledge of self, without them understanding who they are and what their purpose is here, the refinement, it's a self-destruction.
They self-destruct. And it's in my humble opinion, once again, it is a centrifugal reminder of a cycle that we have not all gone through, because I can't speak for everybody, but it's damn sure a cycle that I went through. I could look at my teenager pictures holding, SKs and shotties and oops and all of that. And if they put that on the internet today, like if I tweeted that today as a 16-year-old, it would be the same thing. Oh, they're promoting this kind. But look who I turned into.
Because I remember in high school, in the bathroom, we all had, 4 5s in a high school bathroom. You got to get permission to go to the bathroom. We all packed.
You got to get a hallway pass to go.
Right.
You got to get a hallway pass to go to the bathroom. And dudes got in their book bags, like, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't done in a nefarious way. It wasn't like we were like, we're gonna shoot the school up. We wasn't wilding out like this was Columbine. It was more about protection. We were in a war zone, and it was made clearly to us after a while that it was, eat or be eaten at this point. And I spoke about that when Rashid was on the phone. That what I see in the Chief Keefs of the world, what I see in these youths that are out here gang banging and going in, they're not approaching it from a love point. So the opposite of love is fear. And fear and the death culture are one and the same. You feel what I'm saying? So in this post 9/11 world, where fear has proliferated every nook and cranny of society, the youth, the trickle down, thug life, the hate you give little infants, everyone. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The trickle down effect of this whole mentality, this whole fear-based mentality of, like people just don't want to admit it. Like they're afraid. You know what I'm saying? They're afraid, and a coward will murk you 1,000 times quicker than a quote-unquote proverbial real nigga. You dig what I'm saying? It's a lot of accident murderers out there, straight out of fear. These little dudes don't even want to fight no more. They don't want to get YouTubes and world stars. So they'll pull out a hammer bigger than them and swing it. They'll swing that iron because they don't got the hand skills. We came from a generation where you had to prove yourself physically through the hand skills, the 52 boxing skills, flat boxing and all of that. Then it turned into posses, people running down the street. That's why we don't do gangs. The real New Yorkers don't do gangs because we did posses. Posses were, you got your whole hood together, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 of y'all, and y'all just went wilding out. You know what I mean? And when the mobsters
when all the posses got together.
Yeah, then you had mobsters when posses combine. So you'll have like 4 or 5 posses, but that harks back into the 70s with Bambaataa, with the Black Spades and all of the different gangs of the Savage Skulls and all of them that was brought together. And what happened? They formed the Zulu Nation. So that's been the New York quote-unquote gang life. That was something, now we go back to Chicago, that was something that Larry Hoover and other brothers were attempting. I watched Gangland, right? And if anybody watched the Gangland Marathon, it is a recurrent theme in all of the episodes. The same thing happens. The gangs were formed to protect, or the gangs were formed as a social club. The gangs began to feed the community, do things in the community. Of course, they had gang activity and other things because it's a gang.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, they might have been fist fighting other gangs and stuff like that. After a while, crack cocaine, heroin, or cocaine, or powder cocaine was introduced into the cipher, and then coincidentally, miraculously, a whole arsenal of weaponry was also introduced into the cipher. Something happened on one side where they murked the other person from the other side. A war ensued. Bodies started dropping. They took the top out, right? They took the top leadership out, the thinkers, the ones, the OGs, the true frontline, the originators, the OGs of the whole movement. They took them away, and then they let the youth eat on each other. You know what I mean? And there's always a rat inside of the whole movement. That's always a recurring theme in each one of those episodes. I can guarantee you at 45 minutes into the episode, they talk about the rat. And the rat brings down the rat brings down the leadership and whatnot. And then after that, when they start ratting on each other, then the youth lose respect for the hierarchy, for the ones that came before them, and then they go into what?
Their head off.
Chief mode. Every Indian becomes a chief. And then they start, and then this is when it becomes unstable. So in New York, when the posse thing got neutralized, because now one person could walk outside with a gun, and his 30 bullets was 30 dudes that was with him.
Yep.
That shit got wiped out.
And
so you no longer sort of air the block out. That posse shit went out, because now you would jump one dude and he could shoot 20 of you. So dudes was like, I ain't doing that no more. So, but that was done. That was the progression of living in fear. Living in fear drove men to do things and become certain kind of people and to conjure up certain dark energies and forces that were all inherent in all of us. We all have a warrior gene hiding in there somewhere. Some of us is just harder to find, but it's in there somewhere, Go watch Raging Bull. Pull it out. And as a result of that, when we see this generation, like I said, I see possible, I'm not giving up on them. You know what I mean? That's why I have to get behind the leaders who speak their language, the Fetties of the world, the Professor Griffs of the world, the Dots of the world, the AAs of the world. We have the Polites of the world. You know what I mean? Like, don't chastise these brothers for having a goddamn story to tell, because their story is the story that's needed to be told to reach the demographic of what we know now as the lost ones, the ones that y'all won't even look at twice. But we'll sit in the room with them because we're not afraid of them. And we can relate to them. We know what to talk to them about. You know what I'm saying? But they respect power. So,
right on it. That's why the father came out, you know what I'm saying, from the law.
Legend.
You know what I mean?
Legend.
Because he knew and understood, he had to speak the language of the youth.
Mm-hmm. Father Law was a legend for what he did. Like, and just the quality of membership that he pulled into the Nation of Gods and Earths. If anybody knows what I'm talking about from back in them days, those were goons right there.
Yep.
Those were. I'm not even gonna say, because that term is so prostituted these days. I don't even like real dudes anymore, because I don't even know what that means. These were warriors. You know what I'm saying? With knowledge. So they personify street knowledge. So when you see Big Daddy Kane and when you see Rakim, picture thousands of them. That's your gods on earth right there. You see Wu-Tang, thousands of them. There's your gods. That's them. Grimy. Got that, just got the swag going on, but they could break down. All of them had their lessons on tap. Because you get chin-checked if you didn't know your lessons. It wasn't like these days when you could run around, super loose with it.
That's
you
why I don't have to write
if you didn't know the
today.
mathematics.
404-457, caller. Peace.
Peace. Peace to the family. This Minister Enqi was good, Doc.
Minister, what's good, fam? What's going on?
Oh, man, I'm trying to get in. What's up, Red Pill? All right. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in, and veggie back and all that on the situation going on right now.
Please do. I love your wisdom.
Yeah, like the disconnect with the youth. Because I just was on the college campuses. I'm gonna tell you what the disconnect with the youth is. The youth and Red Pill touched on it lovely in the new video that they just threw up. That right there, what he said, and you know, Red Pill, you know, he goes on and he says a lot, but that right there should be highlighted, and everybody should be discussing that, because that right there is the key to reaching the youth. What is that, Missy? Is that the youth have to identify with you. In order for them to take heed to it, is that anything that you're saying, they have to identify with you. And that's where the disconnect is. Most of the successful people that have made a transition out of the street, they don't have a connection with the children that are still in the street. The children that are still in the street don't know them. Even if they was a OG Bobby Johnson back in the day on those very same streets, the children that's there now don't know them. And they don't look healthy. Like, that's one of my inspirations for staying healthy, you know, with the exercise and the herbs and yada, 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 ambassador.com. No, I'm just kidding. But that's one of my main motivations for staying healthy, is because I'm still in touch with my neighborhood. I still got 17 and 18-year-old cats like, yeah, you know, ain't no slapping me now. Wait till I see you. You know, you better be on show. I'm gonna test you. You know, so I got to stay in shape, because they still want to slap box. They still want to get on the basketball court and see if they could push you on the floor. Like, that's the neighborhood I'm from. So I still have to be in tune with that. And then they'll listen, because they see that you're still a force to be reckoned with. You know, they stay, you know, we're not going to be able to get around the fact that the youth now and always have only respected power.
Indeed.
It's power that they're going to respect. So you have to show them that you're still wielding power. You still can, you know, I can still spank you one-on-one. Like, you may have whatever you made and got 6'5", but this jump shot's still crazy. This, you know, this right hook is still, you know, you still got to show them, you know, we can race right. I'll race you to the corner right now. Like, whatever it is, it's still before all this material existed, we're still men. We still like to compete. Mm-hmm. We have to do that. We still have the Shaka Zulu at heart. Even though this system that we live in is taking it out of us, we still have that Shaka Zulu at heart. So they got to see that in order to respect that. And then when they can see a Zulu warrior telling them, oh, hey, we might need to go a different direction, because, you know, this right, then they're going to listen. But the problem is the older cats that's still in the street is still in the street. They just old because the world been revolving, but their mind hasn't. And the cats that have made the transition out of the street, either they no longer are connected to the neighborhoods that way, or they just they let that part of themselves go. You know, they let that part of themselves go and got so deep into the books and the knowledge. You know, they let their phone go to voicemail when, you know, Knucklehead Jackson was calling them up like, yo, such and such just had a fight on the corner and yada, yada, yada. They didn't pick that call up. Even if it was to say, damn, you know, you all right? They let that call go to voicemail. So when that happens, because as you become more evolved, the things that you care about change. Your priorities change. Your perception on life changes. But what we have to remember is that everybody's perception in life is out.
Breaking up. Repeat that minute so you woke up.
Okay, as our perception in life changes, what we have to realize is that everybody's perception in life is not changing at the same speed that ours is. So, and that's especially true for those of us in the conscious community that are avidly trying to eat, take the herbs, read the books, watch the lectures that are trying to force a change. So it's a lot more rapid for us. So we have to respect the fact that everybody else is not evolving as fast, or maybe even not at all, or maybe devolving. Like, we have to respect the fact that they still there wherever they at, and we have to learn how to meet them where they at. You know, we got to meet them where they at, and that's not just a place. You know, it's a state of mind. If we can't bring ourselves to open up that conversation with, damn, son, that Drake video was crazy. Word, you know, Shorty had the tight pants up. We can't open the conversation up with that because we're too highly evolved. The conversation's never going to change into, so yeah, Lil, I just read this book, such and such, you know, yada, yada, yada. Like, we have to, you know, Dr. York had one of the most prolific sayings, and I think if we apply it, you know, everybody has mixed feelings about Dr. York. His saying was very powerful, and he was able to build his entire movement off the youth. Just like Martin, Malcolm, and all of the other large movements in the past. It was always youth. It's never been adult. Always has it been teenagers. And this is why our teenagers are targeted the way they are now, because the powers that be knows that that's our power system. And the moment that we could demonstrate to them that we still have power as a people, we become powerful once again. So his saying was, I came giving you what you wanted so that you would want what I have to give. So we got to kind of employ that. We got to give them what they want again. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay for you to stay in tune. You know, don't think that because, you know, if you listen to just one song, the devil's gonna get you. Red Pill told you he was in the club. He's still Red Pill. He's still evolved. He's still got the knowledge. It's okay to let your hair hang down if you just want to assimilate back into society. And in fact, the book, you know, not to plug the book that I got coming out, or, you know, the whole information that I'm coming with right now, because it's still the health information. It's still Minister Enqi. I transitioned. I got the capsules now and all that. But what it's about, and what I'm pushing, and I'm having debates left and right. Everybody's like, yo, why you debating King Noble? What the hell has the world come to? I'm like, look, man, it's not about King Noble, trust me, or you know, whatever anybody want to call him. It's that I'm having too many conversations that's the same conversation. And that brother been inboxing me left and right, like, yo, I'm going to tear you up. And I'm like, all right, man, let's do it on the radio. But the point is we have to integrate back into society. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people don't want to hear me tell them that we should be out voting. They don't want to hear me telling them that we should, as black people, have half the goddamn seats in Congress already. They don't want to hear me tell them that we need to actually go back to school. It don't got to be college, but it should be technical school. It should be computer school. Red Pill been quietly saying for the last umpteenth million years, yo, I ain't hear nobody teaching that computer language yet. That echoed in my voice so much where I said, you know what? I'm going to come out with a book and get my people computer literate. So in the book, you're going to get a lot of the computer basics on, you know, engineering and things like that, and code and, you know, some of those things that we need, and some of the backdrop on what the white power system is. The white power system has always been technology. It's always been education. He would have never been able to beat us if we didn't have spears at the same time he had guns. And now we on this gun crusade, and he's on computers. Silicon Valley is the most richest neighborhood on the face of this earth. Broadcasting is the most powerful form of communication on earth. And all of those things are found on our technology. I refuse to walk away from our technology. I refuse, because it's still the most powerful on earth. So people talk about we got to walk away from this and we got to walk away from that, and we got to get into the spiritual technology. And then when you talk to them about spiritual technology, they talk about the ancestors. And when you look at the ancestors wasn't doing that. Right now, I can say beyond the shadow of a doubt, and it's all going to be detailed in the book. It's called, the subtitle is Sunday School. And the reason that subtitle is Sunday School is because what I'm getting ready to start, and what we have been doing, but we just got to do it on a larger scale, is the same thing Catherine Ferguson did after she was brought to freedom She was a slave. They paid for her freedom, and she came up north, and she instituted the Sunday school in the churches. And what that was they would sneak and educate, teach reading and all that in the back, in the back of the church and all that, and that was called Sunday school. We got to do that again, but we got to take it to the next level with this computer stuff, and everybody got to get literate with technology. Everything is driven by technology. Even the people that think the future is going to be driven by health, because it will be, but the health industry will be driven like every other industry by information transfer, and that's going to be powered by technology. The TVs, the radios, the computers. Absolutely. The TVs, the radios, the computers, all of this technology is based on one thing. It's based on the electron tube, and that's based on the electron, and that's what I've been teaching through all of my books. And when you go back to the hieroglyphs, you see big-ass electron tubes everywhere. Big-ass electron tubes everywhere in the hieroglyphs. And everybody been hypothesizing, what is this? Oh, these look like ancient light bulbs. Yeah, we had electricity. Oh, yeah, what is that? That looks like an ancient battery. No, that's an electron gas tube. That's load ray tube. That's where TV came from. That's where radio came from. This is where your people was getting busy. We cannot assume that people that could barely build a building that could last 50 years had the same technology as the people that build pyramids. So we cannot assume that anything out here is, and we got to really live it, though. We can't, it's not enough for us to profess to know that this stuff is ours if we're not controlling it and dominating it. Yeah, this technology is ours. Let me puff my chest up. Meanwhile, Mark Zuckerberg is getting, he done created, in the course of becoming a billionaire, he has created almost 500 millionaires. In the course of becoming a billionaire, he has created 500 billionaires. That's the only value. So, of course, Minister Enqi is saying all this because now I'm a part of a broadcasting company that's completely black, and we're not going to pull a Bob Johnson. We're not going to sell it for pennies on the dime. Of course, I'm saying that because now I got the black social network, so we could all make a mass exodus off Facebook and go to the place where we own our information, and it's not going through DARPA and the CIA. Of course, I'm saying that, but it doesn't stop that. It doesn't mean that it's not the truth. These are the type of vehicles we got to get in. We got to get in this vehicle where we could create a billionaire, which won't be me because it's not my company. But I damn sure want to be I want to be one of them 100 billionaires. And I know it's 400 of y'all that want to be a part of the other, the other rest of that team. This is where we got to go. This is where power's at. Power's in society. Power's not in these little circles. Power's not in these little groups. Power's in society. We got to take the information we know and we got to go out there and get busy. We got to get black construction companies, black broadcasting companies, black Congress members, mayors, police chiefs, all that shit. Everything is black. That's pro-black. I don't want to hear no black power when we got a black man with a black family running against a KKK Mormon who just gave a speech. Mitt Romney gave a speech in Alabama, the place where the civil rights movement started, and told people, the crowd out there, of course they was all European, told him he knows exactly how to deal with white folks. His family owned slaves. They can't think that just because they free, they can be freeloaders. Of course I know what to deal with them. We got to put them back to work. People saying, well, why are you saying vote for Obama? It's not about vote for Obama. We just got to vote against that. It's for no other reason, just to say, F you. F you. That's it. F you. We got to get back in the game. All this information we got is potential power, but if we don't exercise it, that's all it is. Potential power. We got to get back into society, out of these little corners. We can't buy up our little space and hide nowhere. We got to get back in the game. Period. Just because the ref is on the books and because the other boxer is throwing dirty punches, it does not mean I'm going to put my hands down and stop protecting myself and stop swinging. That's not where I came from. So that's what we got to do. And when we look at this Chief Keef situation, these is babies. They just stimulating the only thing that looks powerful to them. Because although we sound powerful when we're in a little small circle, the moment we leave these little circles, we no longer sound powerful. We no longer look powerful.
Let me tell you something about that whole situation. From studying the videos and watching and seeing what they're dealing with. It harks back to what you're saying about power. Like, I promise y'all, 6 months from now or to a year from now, if they don't, and even if they push, even if he winds up losing his life as a result of playing in them streets like that, he's going to be a legend.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right now,
that's it.
The story is real.
It's crazy.
And that's all they looking for. It's not about us old heads and, these little dudes is loving that shit. Like, they are enthralled by the fact that bodies are really dropping. You know what I'm saying? Yep. They love it because they have bought, and they're going to look at you like you square, like, now y'all niggas is, now y'all not down with that no more.
Y'all born again Christians now.
You know what I mean? But I was looking at a video where he was on the Breakfast Club. He said, look, my mama had me listening to Beanie Siegel when I was a little dude. But she wouldn't let me curse and say the words. His mother's 32.
There you
know
go.
What I'm saying? Let's talk about it.
And wait a minute, 32. Listen. Wait a minute, that's part of the beef that was happening. I don't know if you know. But the dudes was out there saying that they was tapping his... Right, there you go.
His moms. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Know about that.
So and now...
Mom Duke's 32.
Right, but here's the situation. In the public, see, that's more this whole debauchery that we live in right now without education. You know what I'm saying? Once Martin and Malcolm got killed, that was beautiful for white power. Because once Martin and Malcolm got killed, that disconnected us from that intelligence and that discipline. And we just became the buck society people. You know, black power. No, black power mean I'm not going to the white man's school. I'm not eating the white man food. I'm not going to the white man church. I'm not participating in the white man society. Newsflash for y'all niggas. Nothing else exists right now but the white man society. Newsflash. So if you're not doing that, jump off the building. Jump off a building. There's nothing else out here until we stand up, take over, and create it. Period. You can't go to Africa. Africa is sold. South America is sold. Them places has been bought up. When Bush was in office, his family was buying up all of the aquifers and worthwhile lands in South America and Brazil and all that.
Hopefully.
And it's funny you said that because I looked on, not to cut your bill, Forbes, list. There's 1,000 billionaires on that list. 3 of us. You know what I mean? If that. And most of it was dealing with technology, this, that. So it just really, I ain't see no hip-hop billionaires. I see companies
nobody got apps.
Right.
Nobody got a cutting-edge website. Yo,
we act like that ain't important.
There's not even a blog dedicated to consciousness. This is when I know that something is going on. It's been people are focusing too much on. I don't know what they focusing on. I see some of the shit that they focusing on, and it's all counterproductive. There's not even a conscious blog, B. There's not
my old blog got 15 million views.
Blog.
You understand? My old blog got 15 million views, B. Street Knowledge got 15 million views. Like, we want to celebrate always our brothers and brothers like Sarnetta, you know what I'm saying? Definitely have to be held high. 1 million views on YouTube, that's monumental. I have 5 million views on YouTube when people were just getting into you. We got to do a little bit better. And we have the numbers, but we don't have the unified front.
Yes.
So why don't we have a World Star for Consciousness? Why don't we have designated sites? I don't even have a website where there's a community calendar involved with, that Griff is going to be in Baltimore. And also, Watutu from the Now got a Kickstarter campaign from Baltimore. Here go their bio. Check them out. See what they're doing. These little babies. You know what I'm saying? Dinetta's going to be in Harlem on Sunday. Here's all the people that's going to be there. Check their bios out. Like, the professionalism.
You could sit around right now as a group, as a study group, or two people or one person, and come up with an idea, put it on Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and get funding from crowdfunding. It could be people from all around the world. They don't gotta be no damn black people or whatever we call ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are sitting down saying, I want to create an iPod case, you know what I mean, that's out of fiberglass. So they'll create the description of what they want to do and say, I got 30 days to make this. I want to get 5 stacks. And people is giving up that money, B. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's something wrong with the productive, sensitive, like, yeah, you speak Medu Neter and you speak a lot of other ancient languages, homeboy, but they do too. They took you got to understand, they speaking that computer languages they're speaking, that's ancient as well. But that is creating new realities, new worlds, wealth, billions of dollars. Like Enqi said, Silicon Valley is, when they speak about this reality, or when they speak about this world, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, that's your Kemet right there. That's where that's what they'll be like, all of the intellects and all of the people of high sciences and all of the scholars dwelled right in Silicon Valley. You know what I mean? So some of you, and I know that inside of this community, with all of these gods and goddesses and geniuses, right? Because everybody's so deep, there has to be a contingency of family amongst us that are tech geniuses. And you're not affected by the brain drain when you're using all of your skills and all of your resources to build up these companies that don't have nothing to do with us. And you can't put it on the shoulders of the lecturers. We'll just wait for the red and the blue to come up with apps or come up with websites. You can't keep putting everything on the shoulders of people who have given you so much. I mean, I'm speaking about all of the different scholars out there.
Yeah, real talk.
Like Astaghfirullah, like how dare you keep putting so much weight? Where's the group of y'all? The same way that we have a group of, we did the show where you showed you that there was 5 or 6 promoters who were responsible for damn near all of the videos that you got in your crib right now. If you collect DVDs, there's 10 people, I'll say, that are responsible for that. And you never heard their names like that. You didn't even know that they existed. You didn't even see them. But these were the working hands behind the scenes who made the magic happen. Before niggas was promised that you would get 1 million views and 100 likes, and shorties inboxing you at 2:30 in the morning. Holla. What? Yes, sir.
You know, yeah, let me say this. Hold on,
family.
Please, if you want to join this bill, you know what I'm saying, past live stream hour, call us 347-637-2135. That's 347-637-2135. Let me get a caller or two in, you know what I'm saying, before we go past live stream hour. We're going to get back to the bill, you know what I'm saying? Let me just make sure I get somebody else in here. Caller from the 212-212-475. Caller. Peace.
Yeah, okay. I'm DeMille. I live in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? I'm known as Dude Nim. D-U-D-E-N-E-M. Got a video called Youngins talking about that little Chief Keef situation, because I knew Lil JoJo. I just seen him on the bus before he died. And it just so happened that Sam Ash just got Young Chop signed, the guy who make the beats for them. Now what's going on? Chief Keef a BD, and he was a GD. So it's still the same thing going on. You see what I'm saying? They using music to portray them. Right. Exactly. When they sign them, that's showing these shorties that they can get rewarded for doing what they do.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So the industry got a lot to do with it. Huh?
It's the label saying that.
Right, but I'm giving you facts. I'm in these streets. Look, I'm in the streets for real, so I'm giving you facts. Now, the streets saying that Lil Reese had something to do with Lil JoJo. Then I heard that Lil Durk supposed to be
they rode up on Lil Reese in traffic, and Lil Reese is like, I'm going to kill you. And then he died later on that night, so yeah.
Exactly, but look, you got to look at the underlying reason. You got to look at what's really going on the bigger scheme. Police need job security. So a lot of these shootings that's going on is professionally done. Who giving them the guns? They getting supplied with these guns. How they ain't getting locked up and they showing guns on the video? They want us to kill each other. You know what I'm saying? So me, I stand for if you go to type in Millman YouTube, you know what I'm saying? I put 5 songs up. It's a video called Youngins, you know what I'm saying, talking about how they be gunning. You feel what I'm saying? So the thing is, as far as us conscious rappers, they trying to block it out because it is spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Because the universe is going to clear out anybody that's not rolling with the flow. You feel what I'm saying? So the truth of the matter is, I work off can. You know, I've been studying y'all brothers for a long time. Been listening to y'all since like 09, 08. You know what I'm saying? I've been studying under the brothers like Devil Blef. I finally got to meet Professor Griff at a lecture. You know what I'm saying? So I've been behind the scenes making my moves, and you know I be telling the youth, trying to lace them with knowledge itself from time to time. You know what I'm saying? But I see the source of what's going on because I'm living in it, and I knew it was gonna come back to Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Because it's bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? All we need is unity.
Yeah.
You feel me? It's like once we get rid of our ego, so it's like I'm getting rid of the ego. So it's like my Facebook page is DeMille Bridges L. You know what I'm saying? You can Google dude and them. All that information is going to flow up. You know what I'm saying? Once we start rolling together as a unit and start, because see, we don't need leaders. All of us are leaders. You know what I'm saying? That Rex 84 is still here. They looking for the Black Messiah. That's what these social networks is all about in the first place. You see what I'm saying? So we got to get back to the day where we meeting up. You feel what I'm saying? That door to door, that hand to hand. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's just my opinion on it. You know? Take a village to raise a child. Oh yeah, the House of Coaches, they having something tonight. You know, they have a spoken word. You know, I've been holding on because I'm supposed to go out tonight. I was holding on to, so I can get on the call queue. But I just basically want to let y'all know that I'm definitely rolling with the movement. Check out that video, Youngins. Share it. You know what I'm saying? You definitely do got a positive cat in hip-hop, higher infinite power, healing our people. You know? So that's what I'm about. Straight up. Yeah, that's Professor Griff all day, man. Yeah, so yeah.
Appreciate you, brother. You know what I'm saying? And if you can still get over there to House of Culture, make sure that you shout out Lord Cassius for us as well.
I guess.
And, we working on getting back to the Chi-Town soon as well so we can lay it down and get in them streets and talk to the family. All right?
Most definitely, brother.
Appreciate you, soldier. Please continue doing what you do.
All right, peace.
Peace, Lord.